Okay, so it's 4:30. I was up around 3:30. I did get a response back from the MRI people when I was asleep. Apparently, they want to redo the MRI because they want to inject me with a magnetic fluid that will come up a little bit brighter in the scan. Um, I'm not. My consent for this is not to be taken for granted. Um, it does indicate that they think they found something, but they're not sure. So, what do they think they found, but are not sure? Do they think they found a tumor? Maybe I might think about this. But it's also going to depend where and how big they think it is. Do they think they found a lesion? I'm not going to, if they think they found lesions, then I'm not going to jump to injecting myself with metallic substances as the least dangerous approach. That's not the least harmful thing to do. The least harmful thing for me to do in that circumstance is to get a blood test and check for Lyme disease. If they have reason to think that I have lesions in my brain, that's useful information, but there's less harmful things that I can do to myself as a next step rather than inject myself with metal and take another MRI. Let's inject myself with metal and take an MRI. And I mean, on top of that, like the side effects are dystrophy, which is what I'm concerned about, right? I think I've got lesions, and they want to give me a procedure that may have side effects that may worsen the outcome. So, if I do have MS, if I do, if I have lesions and there's a high chance that I have MS, that's the last thing I'm going to want to do because there's a possibility that it may amplify the symptoms. That risk is not worth the certainty to me. There's no cure for MS. There's no treatment for MS. So being 100% sure versus 75% sure that I have MS is not really of any use to me. I would rather be stuck with the uncertainty than go through a procedure that has possible harmful side effects, right? And there's other ways that I can confirm it, right? There's things you do with your reflexes and stuff, right? I think that a mild MRI is strong enough for me. And who am I trying to convince? I'm not trying to convince anybody, really. I'm trying to convince odsp. I get a doctor that says I have MS, that's enough, right? I think that the likelihood of me going through this process is actually very low, now that I know what they're trying to say. Would I take a second MRI without the injection? I probably would. But I mean, I'm not sure they're going to see that as necessary either, right? So, I need to figure out what it is that they're requesting. I need to make sure that I can see the scans myself, and I need to see what they found, right? There's a big difference between saying that they think they found, an abnormal growth in the back of my brain that I was completely unaware of, and suggesting that they may have found a malignant tumor on my ear, right? Sorry, not a malignant, but a benign tumor around my ear, right? Big difference, right? If it is benign, if they think they found a benign tumor in my ear, am I going to inject myself with metal and go through an MRI? Of course not. That's ridiculous. I think that maybe they're skipping some steps, right? They're jumping to conclusions, and it's not really justified. Why would they do that? Because they get paid to do it, right? That's kind of. The Canadian healthcare system has its benefits. One of the benefits is that it's pretty much universal access, right? Somebody will watch the blog and say, I don't have access, right? It's obscure. It's almost universal access, right? One of the drawbacks is that it means that there are a lot of unnecessary procedures that are done because there's a lot of money that gets thrown around, right? Money gets thrown around. The cost-benefit analysis that an insurance company would do are largely missing. Money just gets thrown around all over the place, right? So, and I don't really care about the money. in this circumstance, I care about, the fact that I may be being convinced to take a procedure that's unnecessary because somebody, namely the radiologist, is getting paid for it, right? So the radiologist looks at the situation, they say, I have an opportunity to double my income, and that's what they're doing here, double my income on this patient. Let's put them through another MRI. It might not be necessary, it might not be necessary at all, right? The images might be crystal clear. I need to see the MRI to see for myself, right? And make my own conclusions, and go from there, right? I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty smart, so I think I can figure this out. So I gotta call them, and I'll be back when I'm back. I couldn't get a straight answer to the doctor. I was on the phone for a good half hour, and it was just no answer. I tried asking the question in several different ways, and I don't I don't believe I actually talked to the doctor. I talked to a number of different technicians, and they all said the same thing. They all said the doctor requests a second scan with this earth metal that we want to inject in your brain. That's not a very strong argument. It's what's called an appeal to authority. Usually when somebody is unable to back up their argument is because they don't have one. So why would they want to do that? Well, I suppose there is a possibility that the doctor was just lazy, or possibly that the receptionists or technicians were too lazy to pull up the file. But whatever it was, that information was not available to me when I called, and it should have been. I should have been able to call and determine over the phone the precise reason that the doctor is requesting a second MRI with an earth metal injected in my brain. There's a problem. If that reason was articulated and written down and clear and I couldn't access it, there's a problem there, right? Or it could be that the doctor just didn't write it down, right? Now, if the doctor didn't write it down, it could be that the doctor didn't really try very hard, looking through the scan, right? No matter how you kind of look at that, that's laziness, right? So we can either have that the staff is incompetent, or the doctor is lazy, or what I think is probably the most likely explanation is that the whole institution is corrupt. As mentioned, in Canada, the way the system works is that the doctor will bill you per usage, right? Well, not you specifically, is the doctor will bill the Ontario Health Insurance Plan, right? So the more often you see the doctor, the more money the doctor makes. They don't get paid hour. Well, they sort of get paid hourly. They get paid piecemeal by the hour, right? So they're allowed to charge, I believe, in half-hour chunks. And the more patients they see, the more they get paid. And if you have a situation, I know that apparently the wait times in Windsor for MRIs are lower than the national average. In fact, I believe that it's the best, which would imply that they don't have a lot of customers, and that would imply that they need to find ways to bring people back over and over again, right? Hence, the request for me to come back for a second MRI for no reason that they can articulate. If you want me to come into your, into your office and go through, this contraption with an injection of metal in my veins, in my brain, you'd better have a good reason, right? You'd better be able to tell me exactly why you want me to do this, exactly what you're looking for, and exactly what you expect the outcome to be. And they couldn't do any of that. Despite I tried to answer the questions. So I tried to ask the question several different ways. I talked to several different people. So, like I say, my takeaway from this is, I'm not, it's possible that they're just incompetent or lazy, but I think it's more likely that they're corrupt and they're just trying to make money off me, trying to bill me twice, and I'm not falling for that. I was able to confirm that the information was sent back to the referring doctor, to the ear doctor. So the ear doctor does have the information, and I'll call him on Tuesday and go from there. But I'm not one to react positively to an appeal to authority in the best of circumstances. You want to put me through a dangerous procedure on an appeal to authority? Fat chance. Sorry. Like I say, I may in the end up doing it, but you'd better make your case. You'd better explain this to me, and we're going to go through as many different procedures as we can before we get to the dangerous one. We're going to go through the safe procedures first, even if they're less expensive, even if the doctor makes less money from it. We're going to do the safe ones first. In fact, I think that, and I may be rationalizing the situation, right? I may be a victim of the power of positive thinking here, or the delusion of the power of positive thinking. I may be tricking myself, but I think that it's actually a good thing that the doctor was unable to articulate a reason for it. I think that if they did have a reason to think there was a tumor, that would have been in the notes. In fact, I think that even if they did have a reason to think it was a lesion, that would have been in the notes. I think that the right way to read the situation is that they didn't see anything on the scan at all. Right? If they had seen something, it would have been in the notes. I hope. Again, there's something very wrong if that's not the case, right? So, I think I was freaked out about this last night. Now I think that is probably a net positive coming away. I'll need to call on Tuesday to figure it out. I don't have anything else to say about it. I suppose that it brings me back to a possible skeletal issue, like a TMJ kind of thing, right? If they can't find anything in the scan, then let's check to see if my bones are kind of crooked, right? That's the next step. Yeah. So I think, in all honesty, I think that at the very least, I probably just ruled out a tumor, and I think I probably just made the lesions seem unlikely. I don't know what it is. I've said a few times, they'll have to break my jaw, and I don't think they actually seriously, are going to go at me with a baseball bat or something, I don't know how they react. If they're going to send me to a dentist or what. But anyways, I honestly think the best takeaway from that is actually probably that they didn't find anything. So, yeah. Hey, I've got some good news for Hillary. The logic underlying burning your bus that we're better off abstaining under the hope that trouble leads to collapse appears to be disintegrating. That is, Clinton increasingly looks like the better bet for collapse. Hey, Hillary, how many kids did you kill today? I got a quote here from the PPP. So there's 3 P's there, the public policy polling. Sounds like an Orwellian name, doesn't it? There's no poll out today from Best Interest Polling. Public policy polling surveyed 1,276 likely voters on July 29th and 30th. The margin of error is plus or minus 2.7%. 80% of participants selected through a list-based sample responded via the phone. Okay, that's good. While 20% of respondents who did not have landlines conducted the survey over the internet through an opt-in internet panel. No. Error. You can throw the PPP, however many P's there are, you can throw them in the trash too. Public policy pulling my ass. I'm still waiting for a good firm to present itself. With something like this, it just opens up the possibility that that 20% is being used to falsify the results. 1,000 people is a large enough sample this early in the race. There's no reason to bring this opt-in panel in other than to fuck with the results. You've got 1,000 people that are responding over the phone. That's good enough. Yes. Alright. You can get really, really accurate polling with like 500, 600 people. Yes, sample sizes are good to a certain point. But once you get past a certain point, you're just spitting on a fish. There's a mathematical theory underlying that. It's not called the spitting on a fish theory, but maybe it should be. So I don't want to naively accuse them of polluting the sample. And, they know what they're doing. Okay, this is introduction to probability stuff. They're doing this on purpose. Okay, I just like to release. If they release, if they'd like to release just the real polling data separately, that would shut me up, or stop me from stuttering, anyways. But don't count on that. Like I say, when you see something like that, that's red flags. There's absolutely no reason for them to do that other than to use the opt-in responses, which may or may not even be real people, to modify the results to be what they want it to be, because they're the creepily named Public Policy Polling Institute. So Trump decides he thinks Pennsylvania is a swing state. He's going to focus resources in Ohio, Florida, and Pennsylvania. Right? He thinks he has a better chance of winning Pennsylvania than Virginia. Get real. Whoever told him that should be fired. It's not a swing state. Okay, the urban population is simply too large of a percentage of the population. The way that Pennsylvania works is that whoever wins in Philadelphia wins, because let me rephrase that. The way that Pennsylvania works is that the Democrats win Philadelphia by 600, 700, 800,000 votes. Okay, and there's nothing that the rest of the state can do about it. Now, the trends in Pennsylvania, of course, are urbanization, like they are everywhere else, right? So you end up with that disproportionate thing asserting itself at an even stronger level. This isn't about elites. This isn't about Trump. This isn't about Clinton. This is just partisan politics. The day that Philadelphia votes Republican is going to be an amazing day, right? Trump should be. If Trump can win. If Trump can lose Philadelphia by less than 500,000 votes, that would be a huge victory for him, right? And so yeah, he may. If you look at one of those like county by county maps, Trump could win, most of Pennsylvania on a county by county basis. That's fine. But he's going to get demolished in Philadelphia, and so it's not going to matter. Whether anybody likes it or not, this is how it's going to have to go, okay? On top of Florida and Ohio, which I think Trump can and will win, he also has to win Virginia, Missouri, and one of Nevada or Iowa, like I pointed out. And it's just not likely. Missouri is probably the best chance out of all of them. for him, right? But he's got to win. He has to win Missouri and Virginia. Okay, he has to win Virginia. So the Clinton campaign correctly calculated this, thing with Kane, right? Or at least they correctly calculated that Virginia is necessary for Trump. Let's hope that picking Tim Kaine doesn't backfire in Virginia, because then we might end up with President Trump, right? So it's 6 o'clock in the morning. What happened in the night? Sun's not up yet. Might be getting there soon. I got something to eat, sat down. I finished eating. That's right, I sat down. And I noticed it was raining out. And I started listening to songs about the rain. And I was still listening to songs about the rain at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Played around a little bit, some sites, watched a vlog. I'm actually back to reciting because I'm going to build another vlog. I'm finally a few days ahead, and it's a good thing. But like, I spent all night just screwing around. I'm not really upset about it either. I think that maybe I'm still a little bit not focused. I've got a big issue coming up here. I'm going to have to go talk to some doctors and explain to them, like, or try to have them explain to me, like, what is the reason that they want, to put this metal through my body. Again, I have to reiterate that I was not expecting them to find a tumor. That was not the purpose of the MRI. I was hoping they might pick up some lesions, and if they didn't pick up some lesions, did I say hoping? I certainly wasn't hoping they would pick up some lesions. I was thinking that maybe they would pick up some lesions, and I'd be able to, determine whether those lesions were the result of Lyme disease or the result of MS. But I mean, the main reason why we went down this path was because I was hoping I could get some scans that I could bring to a dentist, or a skilled less expert or something, right? So, but I mean, nonetheless, I'm going to get to the doctor, and I no doubt expect the doctor to kind of give me shit, right? So it's just, I mean, I'm pointing out that I'm not gonna fall for a appeal to authority and everything else, but I mean, it's a little bit stressful to walk into a doctor's office and reject their authority. They're a doctor. They didn't just wake up one day and become a doctor. That was a lot of hard work, right? For me to just be like, no. Yeah, I know you're a doctor. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do what I want. And then expect to be able to work with that person afterwards, right? It's one thing to poke them in the eye and run out, laughing and screaming and perhaps dancing. It's another thing to be like, yeah, I'm not listening to what you're saying. So what are we gonna do next? So I think I can close 14 today, and I think that was really the extent of my. The reason why I'm wanting to get over this is less to get over it. I'm already out of July now, and so I had a little bit of a pull to finish things by the end of July, but like I say, I want to do some cleaning in here, so I'm gonna finish this recitation here, and then I think I can probably get this done. But tonight was pretty aimless. It was just it was like, let's listen to a song about the rain, and then post it, and then listen to another song about the rain, and then post it, and then listen to another song about the rain, and it just went on and on and on. It never ended, until it did. But it was early in the morning when it did. And here I am. So yeah, let's get this done. I'm gonna fall asleep eventually, and I'm gonna have to start uploading stuff because I've got it all caught up, but it's still gonna take a long time to come up. So yeah, that's not a productive night, but that's okay. So Srabanazzi, You know what? I'm actually more concerned about him being a dangerous Zionist than I am about it being a Nazi. If you look into his policy, he's very, very, very pro-Israel. There's actually an article here that's the Daily Beast. An interview with David Duke where he explains that he actually never did endorse Trump in the first place because he's too Zionist. Believe it or not. Yeah, how about that? And how long did that take me to find that? About 20 seconds it took me to... I mean, I never... I never really saw the need to Google it before, because it didn't really make much of a difference to me whether David Duke... I wasn't really interested in who David Duke decided he wanted to endorse, to be honest with you. And nor was I really particularly interested in Trump's response. You know? But it turns out it was bullshit in the first place. He never even endorsed him. The reason being that David Duke considers Donald Trump to be a Zionist. So, what does a real Nazi have to say? There you go. Right? It's actually, there's a lot of reasons to be concerned about Trump's pro-Israel positions and how that may translate into his Middle Eastern policies. Especially when you put them in the light of his violently anti-Muslim positions, right? So you have a guy who is ridiculously anti-Muslim and ridiculously pro-Jewish, and you're calling him a Nazi. It's, well, what do you say, right?